Go around from each of you. Tell me about the biggest story that you've covered this year. It's my chance to put you guys on the hot seat for a change. Rafi, let's start with you. The Freedom Convoy is your pick. What was it like covering that here in Ottawa?
So it was cold like a weather story because it was February in Ottawa. It was kind of everlasting, like covering an election campaign, because on top of covering it, I also live in downtown Ottawa, so I never really felt like I went home from covering the story. And then I would say it was challenging in terms of the limits of the form as a broadcast reporter, because I file for Daily News. We get about 2 minutes to, talk about the subject of the day. And one of the refrains we often heard from people who are displeased with mainstream media was, well, you never talk to the protesters. But we were talking to the protesters every day. I think everyone around this table was. It's just that half of what they said would be vaccine disinformation, and I don't have time in 2 minutes to fact check that, so I wouldn't include that in the story. And then if you're inclined to believe mainstream media is not telling the truth, then you would suggest that that's censorship, but it wasn't. It was just being an editorially responsible journalist. I would say the Commission of Inquiry also had that issue in terms of being limited in terms of what we could talk about. Yep. Because, again, hours of testimony to get into 2 minutes, you don't really have time to analyze the hundreds of documents that are produced at the commission every day.
Right, and you said a lot of reporters bring their work home with them, and in this case, your work came home with you no matter whether you wanted it or not, right? Because you were living right in the middle of it when the occupation was happening.
I was at one point asked by a protester how to get to the protest.
Follow the horns.
That's right.
All right.